Quality over quantity. It's interesting in life how, with our friendships, with our relationships, we can have more abundance. We can have multiple people in our lives. Like, go out to, I don't know, some game or something and you'll have 10 people with you, but you still feel so lonely on the inside. Quantity over quality. Your relationships must be about the quality of the connection instead of the abundance of people. One person that has a deep, meaningful connection to you, one person that you can relate to, will do more for your loneliness than 10 people that barely even care about you ever will. Now, this dynamic of the quantity over quality is basically the story of my entire life. I grew up autistic, first off, so I have autism, I still do, and this really separated me from the crowd because I would always just stay in my own lane. I can never really understand, social norms, like what was deemed as acceptable and what wasn't. I can never really pick up on those things, and this made me separated from the pack so to such a large extent. I would always feel lonely. I would always feel socially isolated, anxious, like I was never adequate because I could never fit into the degree that I wanted to. And this is what it was like for the majority of my life growing up as a kid. And from school to sports, especially sports, I could never truly fit in because I was always just so wrapped up in staying in my own lane instead of being present and focused on what was going on in the here and the now. Now, fast forward some time to around August 2022 is the time when I first found out about self-improvement. I start leveling up my physique. I start taking training seriously. I start studying entrepreneurship and social media and everything like that, in an attempt to level up who I am so I can get the validation of people that I wanted to have a connection with, that the people that rejected me when I was younger. And you may think that leveling up your life and, improving your look, like your looks or like your financial well-being or like, your spiritual well-being, things like that, is going to get you immediately the validation of the people that you wanted to have a relationship with at the start, the ones who rejected you. And that's not necessarily true. I could testify to this because as I became more and more absolved in my own efforts to improve my life, as I became more obsessed with the gym, when I became more into business, and when I became more apt in my relationship with Christ, I only got more separated from the crowd. I was more unlike the majority instead of more like the majority. Now, I wanted to be accepted by the majority because that was who I was rejected by since I was little. I expected that my efforts to improve my life, like, increasing my status, increasing my relationship with Christ, building up my body, that would get me their validation. But it didn't. If anything, let me tell you this, if anything, I got the opposite effects. I did not get validated by these people. I got rejected by these people even more. And this is because you have to understand that self-improvement, especially in the name of Christ and doing it his way, is a fantastic filter for the bad apples in your life. And setting yourself apart from the pack, not being into social media, not using substances, instant gratification, staying away from lust and temptation and sin, that will separate you so much from the crowd because the crowd is basically the world, and the world is filled with sin and temptation. Once you start to reject that, once you reject those things and you start pursuing righteousness and faith and just holistic self-improvement, you separate yourself from them. So you were in this crowd before. You were all like into the same things. You just wanted the instant pleasure all the time. But once you realized that that was wrong and you saw Jesus Christ and you saw his life and you said to yourself, I need to live like that to the best of my capabilities, you immediately went from this crowd to this crowd. Now you're completely separate. There's a massive divide here. This is what it's like being on self-improvement for Christ. I did not realize this fact. I thought that going from here to here would get me the validation of the people here and that they would want to be more like me. But that wasn't the case. I did not know this. And because of that, it hit me so hard. I thought that me improving would get their respect and their validation, but it didn't. And that made me feel even worse than when I was a kid growing up. But let me tell you something else. This is probably the best thing that's ever happened to me in my entire life. It is okay to be separate from the majority. And it is okay to be part of a minority. Because in life, your friendships and your relationships should be about quality over quantity. If you Do what the majority does. You will be accepted by more people, but you won't be accepted by yourself, and you likely won't be accepted by your Father in heaven. Now, if we're looking at these people, like the crowd that you used to think were your friends, like before I started getting into the gym, I was friends with people, with other kids that were like really into video games, that were like open about their addictions to like social media and everything like that, just addicted. I used to be friends with these kinds of people before I started self-improvement and before I found Christ. And let me tell you, when I first took those first steps to not being like them, but rather improving my life because I knew what was right for me, they rejected me. They didn't appreciate what I was doing. They thought it was weird. They didn't like me anymore because of it. You have to understand that misery loves company, but so does greatness. It's just a matter of which crowd you want to pick. And when you start improving your own life, and you start getting closer to Christ, and these people reject you, they think you're weird and everything like that. The majority think you're weird and you're an outcast now. You have to understand that these people aren't even the ones that you wanted to surround yourself with. Because if they were, they would be supporting your efforts and they wouldn't be making fun of you for it. A real friend is the one who lifts you up, not the one who tries to pull you back down to some depth that you knew that you were unhappy in. And now tying this back into my personal story, as I've said in other videos, I've always had quite a defeatist mindset growing up, and I still have this to this day, just not to the extent that I used to. But fast forward to around June this year, 2023, and everything changes because of one simple decision. The Lord spoke through me. The Lord made me decide to go to a Christian pool party. Now, you might be asking yourself, why was going to a Christian pool party probably the best thing that ever happened to you? Of all things, that seems very obscure. Why would that be so impactful? You have to understand that in life, there's going to be curveballs. There's also going to be times where we may think that there's opportunities just hidden, and you have to keep an open mind. Unless it's like deliberately, you can tell, like based off the morals of Christ, if you can tell that's bad, don't do it. If you don't see that, then be very, very reluctant to say no. Because life is largely, you need experience. You need to go out there and put yourself out there in the world. You need to say to everybody, hey, this is who I am. This is what I want to do. And be proud of it. Be proud of who you are. Stay true to Christ and be proud of that even more. You have to be willing to put yourself out. You can't be scared and you cannot live in fear. Isaiah 41:10, fear not, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. Stand firm, stand tall, stand proud, and stand strong. Anyways, that's a side note, but going to this party was the best thing that ever happened to me because I met two people that used to go to my church. One of them invites me to their youth group, and I say, okay, I'll think about it. And the rest is history. You have to understand that everything changes magnitudes from this point on. I finally started to meet people that thought like I did, like-minded, that were on the same path that I was. I thought I was alone. I thought I was perpetually just screwed over by the universe. That I would be alone forever. That I would have no one to relate to. No one who thought like I did. But I was proven wrong. Jesus proved me wrong. Because he spoke through these people. He spoke through them to show me that I'm not alone, that I can still be accepted, that I can still be loved. Aside from my own sin, aside from my own brokenness, aside from my own beliefs that I can never belong anywhere, Jesus showed me that, yes, you do. And being with these people brought me closer to Christ in a way that if this never happened, I probably wouldn't even be talking to you right now today. I wouldn't be here making these videos. I wouldn't have the smile on my face that I do. I'm so grateful for all of this. I'm so grateful for everyone that I met. Just because this one person invited me to come back to my church that I used to go to when I was a kid. So grateful that these things happened. I would not be the same without it. The Lord has blessed me so much, and I don't deserve a bit of it. My own sin, my own brokenness, betraying God multiple times, like constantly throughout my life. But he still gave me so much. He still gave me this. He still gave me these feelings that, yes, you do belong, that you are loved, and that you are accepted. And that at some point, you will find the right crowd for you. You may feel lonely. You may feel desolate. Like you may feel isolated, alienated in life. Like you look around for meaningful connections and you just can't seem to find it. But it is waiting for you. What you're seeking in life is also seeking you. You just have to be patient. You have to keep working hard and keep pursuing righteousness for Christ's sake and keep fostering that relationship with him. Keep praying to him. Keep asking him steadfast in prayer. Romans 12:12, I believe. Or Philippians 2:6. I don't remember, but you get my point. Pursue righteousness. Pursue a relationship with God. And he will sustain you in more ways than you can imagine. And what I mean by that is sometimes in this context, like sometimes in life, we think that we're lonely. And like I thought that I would be lonely forever. But he proved me wrong. I didn't think this was going to happen. I didn't believe that God could do these things for me. But he did anyways. He believed in me, even though I didn't believe in him. That's what's so great about the Lord. That's what's so magnificent about God's love, is that we can have doubts. Job doubted God multiple times when he lost his family, when he felt desolate, lonely like I used to, like maybe you do. When Job lost everything and he had nothing left, he doubted the Lord. But then he returned to him. He fostered his faith in God, and he restored him and renewed him with more than he had before. So if this can happen to Job, what's to stop it from happening to you? I'll be praying for this, that the person watching this that maybe could relate to how I used to be takes these words and says to themselves that if this kid that used to be just like me, that went through the same things I did, was saved by Christ, then maybe I can be as well. I'm praying this for you. There's a reason why you're seeing this video now. I prayed for this. The Lord is showing you this for a reason. And he's showing you this to give you an opportunity to make the decision to foster a relationship with him, to open your heart up to his blessings and his love. I just hope you make the right one. Take care.